So the first part of the interview, we're going to get a little bit into the nitty-gritty because these are some questions that a lot of people are more interested in, especially now that some things have kicked up. It's about Mons, the artist, the last artist who had left Andrew Studios last March. I knew her for a couple of months, and you've worked with her for longer. And
it wasn't even last March, it was 2018.
2018?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was 2018. It was. Yeah. 2018. So she left 2 years ago. And let's just ask questions. So the first question that I have for you is, how did you first meet Mons, and what made you want to work with her?
I met Mons, I never met her in person, but online through the artist job application. After our first artist guest or two left, I put out an application for artists, and it had like 100 artists or so like sending me applications, and Mons was one of them. I actually chose 2 artists at that time, and one was another like a popular BTS fan artist, and then one was Mons. So for Mons, I ended up hiring her to become like our art director, not just the lead artist, but art director. What was the other question?
What made you want to work with her?
The thing that made me want to work with Mons is that she had the approval of our previous art director. She had the approval of guests. She looked at her work because I asked her opinion, and I said, I like her work. I thought her work was really technically advanced, and I saw where it could really fit the style of the sci-fi genre, because it was really more based in realism. And I saw she had some pieces that would fit well, and then also guests, like I had her look, and she was like, yeah, she looks good. I think she can handle that role. So, and then also when I talked to her, I asked her a few questions and stuff about BTS, just like art in general, to get to know her, and she seemed like she was a really enthusiastic and like excited person. So it seemed like she was going to bring a lot of energy to the project.
And this was back when TTEOTS was more of a BTS fan project, correct?
Yes, it was at the time. Let's see, I guess we released To the Edge of the Sky in 2017, February 2017. At the time, it was a BTS tribute. It was like a demo. And then by the time of the summer, the fan demand had grown so great that I started to look to like make it into a real game. But at that time, Guess was leaving. So she was leaving because she was moving to another country. So we needed to find a new artist.
So the next question that I have is, what was it like to work with her? Like how was she like as an artist? And because sometimes people are like, you give them a concept, they're like, boom, done. Other times you need to give a little bit more direction. Like, and how was she like in terms of being that artist for the project?
She was very excited about like all of the ideas that I had. And she was really, really active. Like she was active when I came up with ideas, she would respond, with her ideas too, and we would like really collaborate to make it become a reality. Like we started releasing these movie posters at first, and the movie posters, I came up with the idea that we should do like posters to each member. And then she came, and then I started coming up with like the concept of like how each poster should look, and she was really great in like helping develop that from an artistic point of view. So I felt like we were working really, really well together. I will say that she definitely, because she was so enthusiastic, she did have a tendency to want to take on a lot of work. So sometimes I feel like we were all, actually I feel like the whole team was just very enthusiastic and trying to like take on a lot of work as much as we could at the time, because we were just so excited about the project. But in terms of working with her in general, I felt like we worked really well together, because I felt like she got where I was coming from with my ideas, and then she would go to the drawing board and come back and stuff, and we would collaborate really well. I'd say we kept a really, really good professional relationship.
Okay.
So I would say that was fun to work with her. Up until probably when she started to get sick though. She did start to get sick.
Okay. So, we're gonna touch on her getting sick a little bit later. I do have another question though. What were the interactions between her and the rest of the team like? So the rest of the team being me and Storm Valkyrie, which was her name at the time. She did change it. She did change her name.
Yeah, my former writing partner.
Yeah. So I used to be on the team during that time, and then there was another writing partner who was on there. Her username at the time was Storm Valkyrie, in case anybody didn't know. We were the team. There was the four of us. So how would you say, like, from what your observations were, the interactions between Mons and us was?
I'd say we all had fun together, like in a casual way. I think, like, I still have screenshots of like chats that we had where we were just talking about silly stuff, like just silly stuff, and we would like exchange memes. We get really excited about the ideas, and I felt like we were just playing off each other's energy, and it was just like a really exciting, creative time. And I think that we kept a casual, like almost like coworkers. Like we were just like good coworkers, I would say. I think that everybody was just like really friendly coworkers.
Okay, awesome. So
I'm so tired. I'm sorry.
yeah, we're both tired. So. You already mentioned how you interacted with her. So when she got sick, like how did you feel? How did you feel like the rest of the team felt? Like obviously I know how I felt, but this is her. So like how did you feel when you heard that she was like sick? I know we had this thing where we weren't really sure what was going on at first. So like how did that make you feel? Considering she was, as you said, like like a coworker to you.
I was really upset because, well, first we didn't know what was going on, and then I was really worried about what it could be. I was hoping it was nothing serious, and we were all really worried. And then at the same time, I kept telling her to like take off, like don't work, basically. I said it's okay, you can take off a month. So she took off that month. I think the January was like January, February. She took off that month. I said you can take off as much time as you need to get better. And I was just really worried at the time of what would it be, and I didn't know how it would affect the project either, like long term. So at the time I started thinking about like, well, if it's something that's bad for her health, then it might not work out. But I just said just focus on your health for now. We'll figure out that stuff later. Mm-hmm. But I felt like I remember telling her specifically too that like, cause I remember one time there was something I had asked her to do, and she like worked on it like for 2 or 3 nights. Or something like that, like without getting sleep. And I was like, I think it was like Zero's redesign or something like that. And I was like, that's great that you finished it, but you should pace yourself. Because the thing is, even though Monza was an experienced artist, she wasn't an experienced game developer. It was her first time doing game development. And I had done 2 or 3 years at that point of game development. So I knew how easy it was to get burned out. So I was like, you need to pace yourself. And then she started getting sick like after that. So I felt like part of it was like the burnout. That's why I was telling her like just don't do any work at all, because I felt like the game development pace that she was taking was too intense, and that might be contributing to the problem. So I did feel like I felt bad about that, but at the same time, there was something else I can do other than to tell her like it's okay, take a break. And then we also took to Twitter and told the fans about how she was sick, and how we apologized for the delay. I delayed the game because we had monthly, like we had almost like semi-monthly relations, like every 2 months or something we would release at the time. And so I said we're not having a release for like another month. She's sick. Please give her love and support. And then they did that whole like drawing thing with the March for Moms.
Yeah, March for Moms. Yeah, I remember March for Moms. Yeah.
So and she just kept us updated on like when she went to doctor's visits. And I will say also, I heard that one of the things she said more recently was that she was in a hospital. To my knowledge, she was never in the hospital. Like I don't know, because she lives in a different country. I don't know if they visit a hospital to get care or what. But to my knowledge, she was just like at home and then going to doctors to try to figure out what was going on. And she just kind of kept us up to date with that.
Now, there were some right after she left, there were some accusations that she was forced to work while she was sick. However, And now, like, stepping a little bit out of the interview, like, seat for a moment, because I was part of the team, I personally remember having to tell her, like, stop painting, stop drawing, while she was sick, because she would still do that. And that was what I observed. But from what you observed, from your memory, like, did she choose to continue working on things or painting or whatever while she was ill?
I think at first she kept painting. Like I said, I remember Zero, I think, was the last thing she did. And I know she did that like in January, February, which is around the time she got sick. So I think that she did continue to work for a little bit of time after that. And then at some point, to my knowledge, she completely stopped working for like a couple weeks. And then I asked her to do Zero's or a jacket. We had a jacket that was like based off of Zero's jacket, and to send it to JK because it was a fan gift. Okay. So I asked her if she thought she could do that or not, because it was like a simpler project to do the jacket. And I said, "Do you think you feel well enough?" At that point, it had been like 3-4 weeks. Okay. And she said, "Yeah, I feel okay enough. Like that's what I was told." And then she started to do that, and then that was like the last thing she ever did with us.
Okay.
But I let her have as much time as she wanted with that, and I said it was okay if she didn't finish it, and she showed us the progress, and I think she finished it over the course of like a week or something.
Okay. Now, how did you feel about her during your time working together? I know you said that you guys got along like coworkers, but like how did you feel like on a personal level, like regarding her? Like, how she was as a person and stuff like that.
As a person, to me, she seemed to be totally fine. Like, she seemed like she was enthusiastic and cute person, and she was, fun to talk with. We didn't really talk privately too much. We really kept everything into the work chat. But so I didn't get to know her too deeply. But there, like she seemed like a normal girl to me, and like I work with a lot of different artists and stuff, and they all have their own unique personalities and stuff, of course, to people. Mm-hmm. But so I would say she just seemed like the same as any other artist to me that I worked with, and she just seemed like that's why this was such a shock, because like to me she seemed like just like any other artist I worked with, and to me we had a good work relationship. And then and like I said, we didn't have too much of a deep personal level at all. So I would say that's why it was surprising.
So touching on it being surprising, like how did the sudden accusations feel? Like, because they were sudden, like coming from your own words. You thought you had like a great work relationship. You guys, you got along well. You didn't get to talk too deeply, so you didn't really know too much about her. You didn't even get to like interact with her too much except inside of work. So like when the accusations came up, like how did that make you feel personally? Like what emotions did you feel when you first heard that?
Oh, first of all, I was shocked because it came out, like these accusations came out in like December 2018. And the last time I had talked to her was through Keiko Talk at the very beginning of March. Or very end of March, I think it was. Yeah, very end of March. And I hadn't talked to, so I basically, I hadn't talked to her in like a year and a half. And then suddenly she was saying these things which she had never once said to me or indicated in any sort of way. So I felt really shocked, and then I felt angry because everything was a lie. Like everything I saw that she was saying was a lie. So of course, people are going to believe what they want to believe, but from what I personally know, everything was a lie. And I didn't. And then I would say I was like sad and hurt because I didn't understand why she was saying those things. And especially when we had we all had a good relationship, I thought, and I thought, and the thing is, like, I even have a chat image, which I'll probably put in this video, of her when she resigned so like amicably. Like you can see back and forth, like, she was just like, this isn't good for my health, my mental health, I don't want to slow down the project, I'm going to, go on to other things, let me help you find another artist, I'll do whatever I can to help you during this transition, great, thanks. And that was it. So it was like really confusing, like, why would you do this? And then like feeling sad and hurt like that, I felt like I was lied to. And I'm like, if she had these problems, Like, why didn't she come talk to me? Like, if she thought of me that way, if she was having these issues, why didn't she come talk to me? Because I always have had this like open door type policy. And then I also felt like incredulous because like a lot of her accusations didn't make sense to me. Like saying that like I forced her to work. Like, I don't live in Portugal. I don't have her phone number. I'm not going to show up at her house. I could not force her to work if I wanted to. And then like saying I didn't pay her. She was the highest paid person like that's ever worked for ABS. She made, like, I would normally not say any financial stuff, but since she was saying I didn't pay her at all, she made like over $6,000 on that project in a very short amount of time. So and I went and I personally picked out a laptop for her. I picked out the drawing tablet. She picked it out and we picked it out together. And then I paid her on top of it. The only time I started to not pay her was when she wasn't working. I said, I'm going to like reduce your pay because like we need to, keep it for the next art, basically from our art. So she was like, okay. And that was it. Like there was not an argument about it or a fight or anything like that. So I felt like a lot of the stuff she was saying just didn't make sense. And then I found out that after I came out with the last video saying that I did pay her, I found out that she said that she was paid. After all, like she's like, oops, sorry, I forgot to provide these receipts. And she showed like that she was paid. She showed all her payments. And so I'm like, how are you gonna contradict yourself? So basically I don't know why she did it. And stuff didn't make sense. And some people did come to me and they said, hey, you know what? I'm gonna believe you because this doesn't sound right to me. And I really appreciated that. I appreciated it so much because I did feel really alone and isolated because it made a lot of people turn against me. And I didn't do anything. Like all I was doing was like minding my own business one day, and then suddenly people who had claimed to be my friends or fans were turning against me, saying I did awful things to somebody out of nowhere. So it was like I felt really alone and isolated, but there were some really great people who did come out and say, I believe you. The stuff that she's saying doesn't make sense. I wish you the best of luck. I do think these accusations are false. And ultimately, I've learned that like people are gonna believe what they want to believe. So I would say that at the time I felt really negative towards it. I felt really anxious. It gave me really bad anxiety to be attacked by people all of a sudden for like nothing because I didn't do anything. And I felt frustrated that no one was listening to me except for a couple people. But now I would say I've come to peace on it because if people are really gonna believe that and they're gonna believe that about me without knowing me or even checking or whatever, then whatever,
Honestly, from my point of view on the situation, like I felt the same when I found out about the accusations. I was in complete shock because I thought that like her and I were like starting a friendship, and we even spoke a little bit after she had left, and it was very amicable. And then suddenly she was saying that she was being manipulated and stuff by somebody that I considered a dear friend. And a lot of people were turning on me as well because I wasn't agreeing with the fans about the situation. So I also had really bad anxiety during that situation, and I remember we were both laying in your room in the dark, just having like such awful anxiety. We had really bad time. We were having like a joint anxiety attack, just laying there like
those days were like a month full, like just one joint anxiety attack for one full month.
Literally, it was so bad that I was at work like almost about to cry. And for those of you who don't know, because this might be a little bit of a bombshell for some people, I do have another job. I didn't always have another job, but I got one last year because I need to eat. And I'm sorry to say, but game dev doesn't exactly pay very well.
Not indie game dev.
Not indie game dev. And even regular game dev, if you look it up, regular game dev isn't exactly the greatest thing either. So I'd be like at work telling my coworkers why I'm trying not to cry in the back because people are attacking me on the internet. And I was scared. I was scared to play the games that I liked. I was scared to do the thing, like to just look around, because I was scared that people would literally come out of nowhere and attack me. And you were terrified too. Like
I totally went on social media.
Yeah, like it was like you went completely dark, and I was the only person who was really like keeping an eye out. It wasn't really great. So moving on from that, into more lighter things, you know.
One more thing I wanted to say. There's also, I think there was an accusation that she had where she said I wasn't paying her, or I didn't pay her for the first few months that she was working for free. So at first, when I first did get her on board back in like June, July, I think, something like that. Like it might have been July or August. Yeah, because I didn't think guests left in like July or August. So when I got her on board, I told her, you know, I can't pay anything right now because we need to wait to have the project kickstarted in November. I said, you don't need to work right now unless you like want to or something, because I don't have any money to pay you. I'm still working on my other game. That money has to go to that other artist, you know. And I said the same thing to the other artists, the other fan artists that work with us. I said the same thing to her. I said, I don't have money. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, but I can't pay you. And she said, okay, well, you can just pay me. You know, we came to the agreement that you can just pay me when you get paid for the Kickstarter, like for that work. And then like the other artist basically said the same thing. So basically that's what I did. That's why she got paid so much at once later on, was because she had been doing work where she wasn't getting paid for a few months per the agreement, and the other artist wasn't getting paid for a few months per the agreement. But then when the Kickstarter was so successful, like I made up for that by like paying her back pay. So all I can say is that that's a lie, and that she did agree to it through emails, and so did the other artists through emails. I don't remember for certain if there was any unpaid work done prior to that. Like if there was any unpaid work done, it would have only been what she agreed to. Again, I can't make anyone do anything. I wouldn't have. It wouldn't be intelligent for me to have a kind of like relationship, like to start off and be like, oh hey, I'm not gonna pay you. It doesn't make sense. Like basically, if she did anything unpaid that I'm not recalling or something, then it was something that she chose to do or offered to do because of the fact that we didn't have money at the time. But like I said, she ended up being back paid for either the majority or all of the work that she did do. And obviously, like I said, you can't force someone to keep creating art for you. So that's all I want to say about that situation.
Well, that's entirely fair.